Well, Republicans, in large part, were trying to determine what the future of the party looks like following Trump's defeat in the November election. And after Wednesday's Capitol Hill riot, even more questions are emerging about what the party is in a post-Trump era. Bloomberg Quick Take reporter Jennifer Zabasaja is here with a guest to dive right into this. Jen, take it away.
Thanks, Tim. I want to bring in Courtney Britt. She is the Southern Regional Vice Chair of the College Republican National Committee. She represents about 13 southern states in the U.S. And she's joining me now from Chesterfield County, Virginia. Courtney, thanks so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to just start off with what we saw on Wednesday. I've seen people describe the folks who stormed the Capitol as pro-Trump mobsters, as rioters, as insurrectionists, as terrorists. I want to know, how would you describe those people who we saw on Capitol Hill on Wednesday?
I'm glad you asked that. It's such an important question, and it's important that we're using the right language with these people. These are anarchists. They are completely anti-government, and I don't care if they hitch themselves to the Republican Party or Antifa or whoever. It was an entirely inappropriate thing for them to do, to try and stage a coup on our Capitol.
And I know your organization put out a statement condemning the violence, but I wonder, do you blame the president for inciting what we saw?
He really was complicit on Wednesday, and I understand that he was probably being moved around to safety as well. And I'm sure that that played a role in things, but I was very disappointed by his silence on Twitter during that time period. And then when he did speak, I was disappointed that he did not more forcefully condemn it and demand that they stand back and go home. I was happy with the statement that he made yesterday. I was glad that he finally made one, but still, I really wish that he would be a bit more forceful in condemning these actions and apologizing for any role he had in being complicit in it, or suggesting that what they were doing was okay, or giving anyone that impression.
And do you see that sentiment shared amongst other young conservatives? I mean, I saw a poll today out from YouGov that says 45% of Republicans still support the actions on Wednesday. I mean, what are young conservatives saying about this event?
Young conservatives do not support this insurrection that happened on Wednesday. That is not a part of our party. As we said in the statement, if you believe in storming the Capitol and staging a coup, then you're not a Republican, you are an anarchist. And I think that college Republicans, we widely stand by that statement that our national chairman made, and we definitely believe that. That doesn't have a place here. We have a process in place. We have a democratic republic where we can have our voices heard. And I think that's something that we're going to continue to have to deal with going into the future, dealing with the resentment and the feeling that people have right now that they aren't being heard. And we need to figure out a way to deal with that. But this is not that way.
And I know you said you were happy to see what President Trump said last night, but a lot of lawmakers are talking about removing him from office just in the final days of his administration. What do you want to see happen next with the president?
I'd really like to see a sincere apology from him for ever giving any impression that he was endorsing this behavior or okay with it in any sort of way. I feel like there are a lot of us that feel that he was complicit in it. And I would really like to see at least an apology out of him for that, and hopefully actions to prevent anything else like this from happening in these final days.
And, you know, I again, like you mentioned that sentiment, but as I mentioned, there's still 45% of Republicans who support those actions. So given sort of the divisions that have been exposed within the party, how do you advise young conservatives about what the future looks like?
We've got plenty of other really important elections to be worried about. As a Virginian, we've got the 2021 governor's race here. We obviously have midterms in 2022, and we're going to be focused on those. We, of course, after any election, reevaluate how the last election cycle went and the things that we did well and the things that we did poorly and how we can improve. And I think that we do have a challenge ahead of us with our branding and our image and making it clear who we are and what we stand for, and stepping away from this hateful rhetoric that has been so closely associated with us. I disagree with the entire premise that Republicans support this because Republicans, by our definition, we observe the government and the sovereignty of government, and we don't support rebellion. So I understand that the sentiments of feeling unheard and like the election results were unfair, and that needs to be addressed. But this is, again, not the way that we do that.
And then when you think about on a congressional level, I mean, there are still Senator Ted Cruz and Senator Josh Hawley do still support their stance on overturning the election results. Whereas, you know, we saw Senator Mitch McConnell really take a totally different stance. So if you are advising young people, how do you even do so if you're seeing that from the top? There's divisions happening with lawmakers who are in office right now.
It's tough. We have to step back and reevaluate, like I said, who we are and making who we are clear to people and making our communication strategy more obvious so that people understand who we are. They can look to our leaders, like you said, Mitch McConnell, like Lindsey Graham, and see that we're not overturning the results of the election. We are moving forward with this election. The courts had an opportunity to overturn it, and there wasn't sufficient evidence to do that. And so this is the point at which we accept the results, we learn from it, we move forward, and we wish the new Vice President and President-elect the best. As we said in our statement, their success is our country's success, so we certainly don't want to undermine that for the sake of our party, but we have a lot of work to do to take back the House in 2022.
And then just finally, Courtney, when you mention who you are as a party, what do you say to college students? Because I know you do a lot of actions on college campuses around the country. What do young Republicans stand for? What is it that college students are passionate about that they want to see taken to Capitol Hill and to lawmakers down the road?
We stand for limited government. We stand for individual liberties and personal responsibility. Those two go hand in hand. We stand for a strong national defense. And all of those things are principles that are appealing to young people. They're appealing to people of every age, but they are appealing to Gen Z. And we just need to make it clear what that means and that those things come with compassion and they come with grace. They don't come with hate. And making that very clear to people will be really our mission going forward so that we can continue to grow the party and strengthen the party.
And just finally, Courtney, really quick, we only have a few seconds. What do you see as the biggest challenge to doing that?
Well, to be honest, I don't think the media is always the most helpful in that. I don't want to put all the blame on that, but that is certainly one big challenge that we will be facing is making clear our brand and having making sure that other people aren't undermining that attempt. So I think that's a big part of it. The communication strategy is really the most important thing.
Great. Courtney Britt, Southern Regional Vice Chair of the College Republican National Committee, talking to us from Chesterfield County, Virginia. Thanks so much for your time. Tim, I'll send it back to you in the studio.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.